How about throwing a little beach party for yourself and letting these people to get to know you oh so better?
Hey kids, it's me, your good friend Alistair, here to tell you about a wonderful movie podcast called Get Soft with Dr. Snuggles. What happens is, every 2 weeks, the love of my life, Siobhan, and I are joined by a cast of friends, family, internet weirdos, and special guests to guide you through the wild and woolly world of erotic thrillers and softcore films. Everything from alien abduction, intimate secrets, to Zarita, Passion's Avenger, and all points in between. Check it out now on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's that horrid man talking about?
Welcome to For the Story, the podcast that throws Pokeballs at felons in an effort to catch them all. My name's Avery.
And fuck it, I'm Ash Ketchum.
God damn right you are.
That's right, I got a baseball cap, weird mommy issues, and a friend who might be a sexual predator.
Welcome to For the Story. Yeah, so if you can't guess already, we did it. We watched Detective Pikachu.
Ooh, I'm gonna take a detective peek at this movie. This film.
Yes, loosely could be called a film. Yeah, what a thing. So normally we like to start the show off before we dive headfirst into a review of the film. We like to talk about some movies that we've watched aside from our film of the week. I watch a lot of weird horror shit. Ash watches basketball.
I watched a movie and a comedy special, so why don't you go play hide and go fuck yourself, Avery?
I would, but I'm afraid of the dark because all I watched was 4 weird independent horror films. So there you go. I did not feel good saying that. Are you happy now?
Almost never.
Oh. Well, time to cheer up, Ash, because you are in the hot seat. You got to tell me the movie that you watched.
All right, so I revisited the film Hot Fuzz. You ever seen the movie Hot Fuzz?
Goddamn right I've seen the movie Hot Fuzz. I actually really like that one.
Yeah, it just popped up on my Netflix and I went, I'm going to watch Hot Fuzz. And man, never do I compliment a movie's editing, but that movie's edited real well.
Yeah, that's an Edgar. Oh my God, I almost said his name totally wrong. Edgar Wright specialty.
Egbert Reich.
Yeah, Eggman Wright. Yikes.
Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, that's one of his specialties, like out the gate. Edgar Wright his movies are always known for editing. I don't know if he does it himself or if he gets somebody else to come in, but he clearly, it's like universal across all his films. So it's like he clearly has some kind of hand in the editing process.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do an Edgar Wright at some point in the near future.
Absolutely.
There's so much fun to write or to watch. Yeah.
You want to write one? Should we just scrap the podcast and write a movie?
And pretend it's an Edgar Wright movie? Yeah. Actually, yes. Let's do that.
I also watched an Eddie Izzard stand-up special. Love Eddie Izzard. Do you know Eddie Izzard?
I do not. I feel like I've heard his name. I don't think I've ever seen or heard one of his comedy specials.
He's great. So he's super British. He's a transvestite, so he dresses up as a woman on stage and does his jokes about British history.
Nice.
It's like something that if someone came up to you and like told you about that, you'd be like, that is something you made up and it does not sound good. It's really fun. He's a real funny guy.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend. He's also like a weird philanthropist and like ran 27 marathons in a row for Nelson Mandela's prison sentence or something.
That's actually really cool.
He's a fascinating guy. But I remember where he was in Mystery Men. He was the boogie guy who had like the very weird American accent.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now you know. Mystery Men keeps getting tied in to like every film we watch. And I think it's because Hank Azaria was in it too, which is like, he's been in a lot of stuff and The Simpsons for like decades. So.
And we talk about The Simpsons so much on the show.
Yeah, yes, exactly. We are actually we're the first all Simpsons all the time podcast. Now that's got to exist already, right? Like,
Yeah.
no way that doesn't.
Okay, check it out. It's a podcast where we rap or sing a song about the plot of The Simpsons episode by episode, and it's called The Simp Songs.
That's bad. But
Or
honestly,
I'm a podcast genius, Avery.
we've been like tabling all of these ideas that kind of sound bad on paper that Ash has been thinking of that maybe could have promised someday. And you realize that one of our listeners is going to steal these ideas, right?
Oh, absolutely. Which is why we're going to start a second podcast, The Throwaway Show, where each episode is a new podcast concept.
That's a cool concept. That sounds like creatively a lot of work.
It sounds emotionally exhausting.
Yeah. If we were getting paid to do it, all in. Thing is, we're not getting paid to do this. So I don't know.
And
I get a
rightly so.
full-time job and like a wife and kids, you know? So, so I watched a whole bunch of independent and foreign horror films this week. Two specifically. First one I watched was called Lake Bodom. It was in, what language was it in? I think it was in Finnish. Yeah, it was in Finnish.
Because that's where children of Bodom are from.
Yeah, and that's where Lake Bodom is. Basically, it was like
murder happened.
Yeah, it was like loosely based on the murder. It was like a killer guy and a twist, and it was pretty enjoyable. Yeah, I mean, like,
I love that description of a movie. There was a killer guy and a twist. That's like Zodiac.
Every fucking, yeah, right? That could be fucking anything. That's like every slasher movie, though. There's a killer guy, there's a twist, and some boobs sometimes, if you're watching the right one, if it's rated R. So Lake Bodom, Finnish. If you like Finnish movies, go ahead and watch it. Next, we got La Noche del Virgin, which is The Night of the Virgin. It was a Spanish film about this really odd-looking character who on New Year's Eve wants nothing more than to lose his virginity and hooks up with this much older woman than him and goes back to her house, and a whole bunch of weirdo shit happens. It's in Spanish. It's weird. Probably one of the stranger films I've seen in a while.
Do you define it as horror cell?
I don't know. Maybe it was a strange one. Like, it had some like twists in there that I was uncomfortable with, but it was visceral. So I don't know, kind of enjoyable. I think it was supposed to be a comedy, but the comedy didn't really flow very well for me, not a native Spanish speaker. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of like, I was reading the subtitles and I was like, I guess that's funny, because half of comedy is often in the delivery. So
yeah,
people would probably argue even more than that. But the next movie I watched was called Murder Party, another Shudder original. I fell asleep halfway through. Don't watch it. It's kind of boring. I also watched VHS Viral, which is it's been out for a while, but it's the not so anticipated third sequel in the VHS franchise. Not nearly as good as either of the other two. You can skip it, but if you're a big fan of the franchise, go ahead and watch it.
It's like
that's what I
Tremors
watched.
4 to the Tremors movies.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's a diehard Tremors fan anymore.
I remember,
not to that extent.
I was, this is going to make me sound like the whitest kid. I was on my way to a regatta in Canada.
A what?
And a regatta, it's a boat race. I was a rower. And
oh, okay.
This is in high school. And our one coach who like,
I was like, I didn't know you were so into pasta.
Rigatoni. We were on this bus, and there was one coach who was like always very dour, and I think it's because he was like the third varsity coach, like for the third best boat, like really down there. But he just put on Tremors 4 and refused to let anyone take it off.
That's fucking awesome. He's
like,
a
no,
hero.
You have to watch this. And I'm
That
like,
is so awesome. Let it fuel your ability to row. Pretend you're rowing away from this terrible movie. There you go.
You can't row in the sand. That was the tagline for that movie.
You can't row in the sand, motherfucker. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Tremors 4, go see it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, so that's what we've been watching. That's what I watch when I'm like not doing movies for the podcast. It's like weirdo. Lately, it's been a lot of foreign movies. I don't know. I'm slowly learning Spanish by watching questionable Spanish horror films. So that's
You're gonna
good.
just say something truly horrifying to a Spanish speaker someday.
Right? All my vocabulary is building up around, it's all just like really awful curse words and like violent murder words. And really, honestly, in the case of La Noche del Virgin, very, very weird shit. So, yeah, out of all of them, I recommend La Noche del Virgin the most. Not because it's necessarily good, but because it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. And weird in my book is sometimes good. Sometimes it just stands out. So it's like, yeah, whatever, go see it, you know? Like, go see it. Why not? Yeah. We saw Detective Pikachu, Ash.
Yeah.
We didn't want to. The fans voted. That's not even true. It's totally my idea.
Yeah.
But we did it. I kind of wanted to try a new segment. We talked about this a little bit before we started the podcast. We often talk about budget statistics here on the show, especially when it comes to critical reception of films. I think often, not always, but it tends to be that the budget and also the money that the film makes on its opening weekend and throughout its entire theater life cycle tend to reflect the quality of the movie in weird ways. Often demographically, sometimes it's a marketing thing. But we'd like to start talking about that stuff a little more in depth and a little more officially. So this is going to be the first episode that contains our budget breakdown section. Cue the destruction.
So this week we watched Detective Pikachu, which thus far, as soon as we recorded it, it has made $175.8 million.
Jeez, that's pretty good.
Pretty good. Largest opener for a video game movie. It currently ranks domestically as 8th highest. Can you give me a guess at some of the 7 that have been above it for
Probably
video game movies?
Mortal Kombat's probably in there.
Correct.
Mortal Kombat 2?
No.
Is that? Oh, it's not.
I'll let you know if there's more than one of the same franchise.
Okay, cool. All right. The Super Mario Brothers movie's probably in there too, right?
No.
It's really, it's not.
Think female fronted.
Tomb Raider?
Correct. There are 2 Tomb Raider films.
Oh, excellent. Okay. What am I? 3 out of. I have 4 more to guess. Mm-hmm. What else is there?
Well, okay. I'll take away one because another one's another Pokemon movie.
Oh, is it the Pokemon, the first movie? The one that came out?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, in like 99 or whenever it came out. Maybe 98. Okay. 3 more. What else? I'm trying to think of other.
Let me try and give hints.
Okay, yeah.
One is animated.
Oh, animated video game movies. I don't know. I'm at a loss here.
It's an app.
Oh, Angry Birds.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia, and the last one you never would have guessed because I didn't even know it was a video game. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, White Ape.
Oh, Rampage.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was a video game.
Yeah, I played Rampage. I think it was on N64 or maybe it was SNES, but it was basically just a movie I guess it is now, but it was a video game where you played like a kaiju and you just rampaged through a city and you broke down buildings and you could grab little people and eat them.
Awesome.
That was like the whole game.
No Resident Evil movies above
That is
Detective
surprising.
Pikachu.
That is surprising. Yeah.
The Warcraft movie did not surpass it.
Warcraft movie I haven't seen yet, so we'll talk. We should talk about that at some point.
Ourselves with that.
Yeah, right.
Or Doom.
Doom is kind of a fun movie. It's pretty bad, but it's somewhat enjoyable. I would say.
Are there 2 Doom movies?
If there's a sequel to that movie, it's got to be pretty bad because I've never even heard of that.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Yeah.
I will say on Avatar watch. 200 million. Endgame is 200 million behind Avatar.
Wow, that's surprising. That's pretty
$5 billion.
Well, it'll probably I don't know. If you think about it, like it'll probably be in theaters for another like 2 weeks, but those ticket sales are going to be slowing down at this point, I think.
Yeah, it's only had 3 weekends.
Yeah. So, oh, wow. That seems like such a short time. I feel like it's been out longer than that, but go figure. Well, now you know. Yeah. What? I'm curious, since this budget breakdown section of ours is a little more fluid at this point. What was the budget of Detective Pikachu? Do you have that information on hand?
I can find it. I have estimates.
Okay. All right.
I have estimates. 150 million.
Shit, that's a lot more than I thought.
So in the first weekend, it has already surpassed that technically.
So that's like the break-even point. Kind of what I expected. This is a niche IP. If you think about it, the fact, and I want to bring this up in my pros section, but the fact that this movie exists at all is kind of weird and kind of like a miracle. But we'll get into that once we start really getting in depth into our review. But before we do that, we always like to talk some expectations we had going into the theater, sitting down, and even up through the trailers, which, god damn, it was like every cringy trailer led into this movie. Every single animated cringy trailer. I saw the Sonic trailer, which I am fucking intrigued by now.
No.
I am so fascinated. The fact that they got Jim Carrey, the fact that Jim Carrey is doing his acting thing from the 90s and like being all quirky and weird. He's like Gandhi now. But like and then also
that's who he's playing in the Sonic movie is Gandhi.
Yes. If you didn't know it, no. Sonic is actually going to be Emmy nominated, Grammy nominated.
It's a Grammy winning film. Send it, my guy.
Yeah. It's gonna. What was the sound or the song that was in the trailer? Was it "Gangster's Paradise"?
Oh God, it was.
Yeah, which is like a novel of a song. It's just like 46 verses.
They should have done the Weird Al parody.
Right? They should have.
Just
That would have been
Amish
so
Paradise.
good. If they had done that, then you would know definitively that the Sonic movie is a fucking like prank.
Like
right?
they should just take a hard shoulder into that film being a nightmare.
I think they're going to. I really
just
hope that
little Yachty songs on the soundtrack.
I really hope that like they see some of the current like public reception to the trailer and the 3D designs, and like I really hope they take that and they just fucking nuke it and put like awful meta jokes in there that are just like story bendingly terrible.
Honestly, I want a bad fucking like soundtrack. I mean, there are so many bad movies that would just be better if you gave them more soundtracks. Don't you agree? Like if you just picked some like horrible, like just the worst choices, just like an action scene with churches playing in the background.
I actually kind of like that. That sounds like something out of Captain Marvel. Right?
Why didn't Captain Marvel use any churches?
Like
Churches
honestly, they sound like they are rad, and they sound like they're kind of from the 90s, don't they? They have that like that retro sound to them. I actually really do like churches a lot. I think they just put out another album, didn't they?
It's fucking great. Dude, I love
gotta catch up.
churches.
Yeah, that's some good gym music right there. And that singer girl, she's so good and she's so goddamn cute. Okay. I don't know what her name is, but she's adorable. Yeah.
And they're Scottish too, so they all have fucking accents. It's great.
Hell yeah, that's great. What a goddamn Scottish national treasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dragon Force, but they could put some Dragon Force behind the Sonics.
Yeah, that should be on. That honestly like is so fitting for the Sonic because it's stupid and it's fast. Two things that Sonic also is are. Yeah. Well, yeah. So Ash. Yeah. I want you to hit me with some of your expectations for Detective Pikachu.
Oh man, I don't have the because of medical stuff. I don't have a real we know this. I don't really have a nostalgic touch to me. Don't like Jurassic Park. I don't like Star Wars. I don't have all these things that people my age typically like because I can't remember my experience with them. So I just don't have that nostalgia factor. So Pokemon means nothing to me. I thought that everything in the trailers looked really disconcerting. Ryan Reynolds is fine. Besides that, I had pretty low expectations. I did have a really weird pre-movie experience where they were showing the trailers and no audio was coming out.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
The audio was dead, and I was like, please don't make me come back to the theater and have to get
my
another
God.
different ticket for Detective Pikachu.
They would at least like refund your ticket, you know?
They definitely would. But just the idea of me, like a 26-year-old bald man with like a little bit of scruff and a killer jawline, walking up at like 9:30 in the morning.
Pikachu.
Yeah,
You went at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
They definitely thought you were a public masturbator. I'm just saying.
Which I totally didn't do. Your Honor, I just want to make it very clear there was none of that happening.
There's so much incriminating. Nothing about lick a tongue. Jesus Christ. There's so much incriminating evidence against us on this podcast at this point. Don't go back and listen. Anyway. Yeah.
So that was I was not excited. How about you?
Yeah, for expectations, you saw it before me and you texted me that this is the worst movie we've ever had to review. So I was
high expectations.
really, really low. I love Pokemon. I always have. Going back to my childhood, some of my fondest memories are, well, I don't know. I mean, like, I remember Pokemon very fondly. But I had a feeling from the moment I saw that this movie was in pre-production that it was going to be a fucking bomb. I was like, this is going to be terrible. But I don't know. I feel like my expectations were really bottom of the barrel, and I think I ended up being a little surprised. I think the only reason I thought more highly of it immediately after I had viewed the movie is because my expectations were so low. And I was like, actually, that wasn't as horrible as I thought. There were some redeeming things, but after processing it, I'm like, yeah, that was a pretty bad movie, just in totality. But yeah. So unless you have anything else, I think it's time for our pros section. What do you think?
Do I have anything else?
I have a beer that I'm gonna open.
Oh, very nice. Very crisp.
That was a juicy one. Very crisp.
Yeah, let's get into pros.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Avery.
Yeah, I got a couple. I mentioned this before we really started, but this I think in its totality is the absolute best case scenario for an adaptation of a Pokemon video game to live action. I think that the writers and probably the creative minds behind this were probably a little bit in a box with what they could do while still trying to write a cohesive story. And I think it panned out probably not as well as they were expecting. You could see some of the scenes where they were like, we have this idea, like especially the stuff with like Mewtwo was all like not horrible, you know, and
but
like,
he had teeth. He had human teeth.
Yeah, the teeth are a big con. We're gonna talk about the teeth.
We have a 25 minutes like thing scheduled about the teeth.
Yes, we do. I actually, one of my biggest cons is the real life look of the Pokemon was bad, but we're gonna talk about that too. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't see this movie, given the source material, being any better than it turned out. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that, honestly, given the budget, the effects should have been much better, but I guarantee you so much of that probably went to Ryan Reynolds, having him in this movie. Yeah, man. I would say, like, it couldn't have been better than it was. I think it's probably doomed. Video game movies in general do not translate well to film, or video games do not translate well to film, just in general. That's like a rule.
Wasn't there a good Lara Croft movie?
There was one that came out not too long ago. I don't know if it was good or not, and I haven't heard anything about it, which means it probably was kind of forgettable.
I don't know. Resident Evil 1 was fine.
That movie is yeah, you're right. That movie's pretty okay. That's kind of one of the exceptions where they took the story of the video game and kind of just scrapped it and like made a separate storyline for Mila Jovovich, who's a character who doesn't exist in any of the games. And they kind of gave her own thing, and they set up stakes a little bit better, but then it goes wildly off the rails in the sequels. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd say Resident Evil's an okay movie. It's a fun one to revisit. That movie was one of those ones that hit me in that age when I was like the target demographic. Like early teenage boy is like exactly the person they wanted to sell that movie to. So yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could do some with like more modern video games like Last of Us. I mean, it's basically a movie as it is, but that's why I think it could work.
That's a really good point. The Last of Us has a very cinematic storyline. If that were adapted to a movie, the problem is like, what more are you going to get from a film adaptation of The Last of Us that you couldn't have just gotten from the video game?
I think this just like would work for a non-video game audience.
Okay, yeah,
like
to translate
guys who want to
upwards.
get their girlfriends to like get into video games, be like, this is the video game and it's like pretty accurate. And look, Ellen Page or whatever.
Yeah, because literally Ellen Page is basically just in The Last of Us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I could see that. It's like that's always kind of like the problem that I have with video game movies in general is that it's like the game like is designed so you interact with it, you know. And games are designed to take place over a span of like 10 to sometimes upwards of 40 hours. So trying to compress that all into an hour and a half and have all the same story and emotion that you feel when you're playing a game often ends up like kind of falling short just because of the nature of film versus the nature of movies or versus the nature of video games. So,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I mean, like, there's some other good stuff about this movie, though. I mean, like,
Pikachu singing the old theme song while he's walking lonesome down a road is probably the funniest moment of the movie for me.
Oh yeah, I thought that was cute. And like getting Ryan Reynolds to sing that, like, fucking awesome. Like that exists forever.
A lot of my joy came from the idea, like not even within the movie, just that Ryan Reynolds was in a booth by himself in his mega mansion singing it to himself or just saying the lines to himself. I'm like, this is awesome.
Because you know that's how he recorded that audio. You know he didn't get out of bed to do that.
No, of course not.
Maybe he did. Who knows? Maybe I'm,
No.
you know, but
I know.
I think another thing is that Ryan Reynolds is just the best part of this movie, pretty much hands down. I texted this to you after the movie, but I'm pretty sure, I can't be totally certain, but this sounded more that it was Ryan Reynolds than it did a character in the movie, which leads me to believe that he had some creative input or a lot of creative input even on the how the lines were written, because they were written very much like he was just Deadpool. Like any of those lines pretty much could have been just for Deadpool as well, you know, barring any like IP specific like terms. But I feel like his writing, or at least his performance, was easily the best part. Pretty decent. You know, a lot of the other parts of the script really lacked. But at least his stuff was like, and that's pretty much what I came to see, was Ryan Reynolds being, you know, him being funny. And I was okay with that. I was satisfied.
Yeah.
I really liked the fight in the nightclub with the Charizard.
Yeah, did you know that the DJ was Diplo?
Oh, really? No shit. No wonder he couldn't act.
I thought it was fine, but it also kind of was like a lot of build up for like a Pokemon battle, which is exactly what I feel like a fan would want to see. And then it didn't happen.
Fell really flat. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I liked the Gyarados a lot. I felt like that was that
One
that
of the
whole
better
scene-
looking ones.
He looked the best out of pretty much anybody else.
Charizard good too.
Yeah, Charizard looked really good too. I really liked those guys that were doing the dubstep noises. Those Pokemon are called Loudred.
Loudred.
Yeah, and how they just like basically spoke in dubstep. I thought that was pretty fucking cool, because that's how I always envisioned them when I played the games, is that they just made bass noises.
Yeah, they did some cool like the world building was solid on this movie. You know, you
I
have
think so too. A little exposition heavy at the beginning, which is surprising because they kind of like just threw you into this really bizarre world almost like on a whim. Like they just threw you into it.
They didn't explain Pokemon to you at all.
Yeah, because the people that are going to go and see Detective Pikachu are Pokemon fans, you know? So they didn't explain anything about Pokemon. They're just like, you know what you're going to see. You know you're going to see a Pokemon movie. So I kind of liked that. It really wasted not a lot of time getting that point across very quick. A lot of...
it was...
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, no, it was just kind of interesting. I don't know. Like, I'm... Based on what limited knowledge I have of Pokemon, it seemed kind of weird. I wasn't sure what generation they were going for, if they were going for more kids or more people like our age.
Yeah, this movie had a muddled audience, or a muddled perception of who was going to see the movie. I think it could have benefited a little bit more from bumping it up. What was this movie rated? Was it PG or was it PG-13? Do we know?
PG.
It would have benefited. It's one of the few movies that I think would have benefited from being PG-13, and just like bumping it up just a little bit, having a little more like adult language in there, or like just like adult concepts to, you know. You
want to hear Pikachu say fuck just once.
So bad. I would have loved that. He says shit at one point, which I thought when he's talking about Psyduck, he's like, this guy's going to blow his shit, man. Which I thought was like, I was like, that's cute. All right. You know, I liked that he's like a straight talking, like, I did like Pikachu a lot in this movie. I thought it was adorable. I also just fucking love Pokemon. So, so I like it on that level at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this movie was bold. The fact that this exists is so bizarre. Like taking it's not really a niche, like IP, but it's like, it's something that's weird enough that it's surprising that this movie got $150 million budget and isn't flopping horribly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, internationally it is doing fine.
Yeah, I could see this movie doing really well internationally. And it's not even doing poorly domestically, apparently. So
no, I mean,
what do you know?
63 million so far.
Yeah, like so I'm surprised at, honestly, even though this wasn't a very good movie, I'm surprised at the quality of the product that we received.
It's yeah, I mean, it was kind of one of those things where this is the opposite of what I was hoping for. I was hoping for the movie to be good, but it have a bad critical response, and we could just leave it alone. But now a subpar movie is going to have sequels.
I mean, maybe they'll get some of the things right that they did wrong in this movie. I do like the idea of expansion on the Pokemon world. I think like that's a fun idea. Yeah, right.
Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah. I do like the notion that they would make maybe a little more seriously toned adaptation of some other Pokemon games, or more of a direct adaptation of some Pokemon games. I could see that being interesting. You know,
which Pokemon would be the most likely to be a slasher killer?
Oh my God, that's a good one. There's actually probably Mr. Mime, right?
Just Mr. Mime Murder Mysteries. That could be the sequel.
Oh my God, that sounds like not a Netflix show. That sounds like a Hulu show, right?
Yeah. Netflix would never greenlight that.
No, they would never greenlight it unless the Pokemon like franchise really started making billions of dollars. Which I don't think, maybe it'll get there. People said that about Marvel, that it would never get there. I like the idea, and I don't know if this is a meme or not, but I saw like a Reddit post about the idea of a Nintendo cinematic universe, and that they're going to try to do a thing like a Legend of Zelda movie, a Pokemon Red and Blue. I'm into it. Whatever. I'll fucking go watch that shit. I remember all of them, you know? Watch the fuck out of that. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. Honestly, that's about what I got for pros. I don't know about you.
Honestly, more than what I have. Oh, Chris Gere's great. He plays the son of the bad.
Yeah, he's barely in the movie. And also the guy who played...
so charming.
Yeah, he is pretty charming. Also the guy who played Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3.
Oh, Bill Nye. Nighy, not Bill Nye, like Bill Nye. But do you want to know his name in the Harry Potter movies?
Oh my God, what is it?
It's Minister Rufus Scrimgeour.
Ew. God, why are British people so weird?
And according to J.K. Rowling just tweeted, he is also gay.
Oh, of course. Let me check my watch. Right? J.K. Rowling just tweeted that you're gay. No.
Have you heard the new fan theory about? Did you remember the movie where Neville Longbottom has the remember all and it turns red when he forgot something?
Yeah.
Some say that the thing that he forgot was that
he was gay.
was that he found out that Dumbledore was gay.
Oh my God. Of course. You know, it's really interesting that J.K. Rowling does that shit because it's such a thinly veiled ploy to get people to read the books again. Buy them again.
The movies
Go ahead.
Again, literally.
Yeah.
We know you sold them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. So I do want to talk about some of the cons for Detective Pikachu here, because I think it's fair that we talked about some pros, because there is redeeming factors to this movie. Overwhelmingly, though, I would say that it's kind of I would say it's not very good overall. And so it's got some stuff on the lower end that we're going to bring up here. Ash, what is one of the first things that comes to mind when it comes to cons and Detective Pikachu?
2 words. Catherine Newton.
Is that the girl's name?
That sure is the girl's name. She enters this movie standing on a staircase and gives a line of dialogue that a Pokemon trainer says right before battling you in the most piss poor delivery I think I've ever heard. And in that moment I went, oh no.
Yeah.
There's nothing redeeming about it. This movie is officially the worst movie.
Yeah. I thought the exact same thing. I thought that everything up until that moment on the staircase was like kind of cheeseball, but what I expected from a Pokemon movie, you know? And then once I saw that character, I was like, oh, yikes. They were really tight on cash, I think, towards the end. And I think what's even worse about her is that she becomes a bad, ham-fisted, somewhat romance character for the main character.
Yeah, it's totally fucking shoot-in romance.
It's bad. Just no reason. She doesn't have any chemistry with anything.
No.
And yikes.
Arguably, the thing she has the most chemistry with is the tennis ball they used to play Psyduck.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And that's arguable.
Yeah.
Yeah, yikes. Just such an odd choice. I said this earlier, but I get the impression that they put more money into getting Ryan Reynolds in this movie than they did pretty much anything else. You know?
Do you want to talk about our least favorite Pokemon designs?
Yeah. I think just overall, right? The idea of the real life look of the Pokemon was a bold choice. I think unique in the aspect that they're we're fucking doing it. We're making a goddamn Pokemon movie. Doesn't translate very well from an anime or from a 3D video game. I think had this movie been a completely animated film with a unique art style, I'm thinking Into the Spider-Verse, then I think it could have really excelled. And then they could have really hammed up the futuristic Rhyme City buildings and stuff like that and really made that part of like a character in its own right. But instead they just had people and then really out of place looking real life Pokemon, and they didn't mix very well at all in most cases, except for the Gyarados look cool.
Gyarados look cool. Gengar looked terrible. Yeah. I think the weirdest thing was they... I get that some of the Pokemon are supposed to have fur or whatever, or not have fur when they look like they should have fur.
Yeah.
But there's something about, maybe it was the human teeth. There were a lot of human teeth. But besides that, weird stuff like Pikachu and Psyduck both look like they have the same thing, even though I know one of them has feathers and one of them has fur.
Oh, yeah.
I
maybe
think
that was rushed or something, you know?
There was something incorrectly rendered. And then Mewtwo looked bad.
Yeah, especially in that third act when they were doing just tight shots and he was dead center in the film and there was just no creative energy put into making him look good. Those were some of the worst shots in the movie. It was that city fight. The stuff where it was on Pikachu and it was fast paced and there were quicker cuts, that all looked better. But as soon as they did those tight shots on Mewtwo, it just took me completely out of the movie and it looked awful. That was not a redeeming factor to this movie. We talked a little bit about how some of the backgrounds looked pretty good. Some of the sets did, but
yeah, especially the outside ones, not in the city, but the rural
Yeah.
set pieces looked good.
Yeah, those looked fine, and then like it looked like the set for The Good Place, didn't it? It was like the same set. I thought some of the imagery of the city itself was kind of fun. It was kind of unique and like a good idea. Sure, I like the idea that Pokemon is set a little bit into the future. So, and I liked the griminess of like the street level. It reminded me of Blade Runner a little bit. But as soon as like they put the Pokemon in there, I think part of the problem with it is that like, they tried to do like a realistic look for the Pokemon, but they rendered these 3D characters that still just look like 3D characters, and like they don't look like anything that appears in the natural world. So they might as well have just made them smoother and not as disgusting and not have human teeth and stuff like that. Like, I don't know why they went in that direction.
Trying to do hyper realistic was almost a fault.
Yeah, I think so too. It could have been done like kind of cool. I remember like years ago on 4chan, there would be threads of people posting their DeviantArt stuff of like realistic Pokemon. And it feels like those people just grew up and made all the art for this movie.
Yeah. It's like, hey, like, let's make Pokemon creepypasta.
Yeah. And then somehow those concepts got greenlit and put into this movie. It was just, I don't know. It's just like, I just was not feeling that at all.
I have a new rule for movies. And I call it the 90s rule.
Okay.
If you're making a live action movie and you think, if we made this movie in the 90s, would it be a movie that a dumb podcast hosted by a couple of idiots would make fun of? Don't make the movie. Like, imagine doing a live action Pokemon movie with like shitty puppets in the 90s. You wouldn't do that.
It might have been better. It would never have been made, but I want to see that.
Yeah, honestly, like Opa Star Wars style. Give me some practical effects. I think that almost would have helped too. But like Sonic, you wouldn't make a '90s Sonic movie. Imagine. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts. Never make a Kingdom Hearts movie.
Oh, it's gonna happen, man.
With like live action CGI Donald and Goofy, and they're just like,
that sounds so. Oh, they'll get the same designer who made the Pokemon to make Donald and Goofy.
They have like human teeth.
Oh God, I can already picture it. Oh my God, I can see the trailer. Like, images are flashing through my head right now. This is terrible. It's gonna happen because Hollywood is going to leave no stone unturned. They
got to get the actor who played Goku in the live action Dragon Ball Z movie.
Oh, by the way, this movie reminded me so much of the live action Dragon Ball movie. It was like it was like the same beats. It was like the same bad acting. Everything. It was like a picture perfect recreation of Dragon Ball Evolution at some points.
Oh my God. Yeah. There was the really bad like tortoises moving around.
I thought some of them looked kind of cool. I was like, whatever.
It was just so long and served 0 point. They just like got up and then went back down,
and nothing happened. It was a way for Pikachu to get injured. And the thing is like, obviously a filler scene. We've already discussed this. It's definitely a filler scene, but they needed a way for Pikachu to get injured so the rest of the movie could happen, right?
Well, have them fucking go attack Rhyme City.
Right.
And then like Mewtwo's like, I'll go with you. I'll stop them.
Yeah.
Mewtwo voice. And then he gets captured.
And then like a bigger, deeper bad. I liked the sound effects for Mewtwo's abilities though. It reminded me of the Infinity Stones. And I was like, wow. Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the things I remember seeing in Infinity War in the theater that stood out more than anything else was the fucking awesome sound effects that the Infinity Stones made.
Yeah. You know what? On Mostly Nitpicking, another podcast, they've been talking a lot about like particle effects and like how like not until seeing Infinity War did they notice how much people get turned into dust in movies.
Yeah. Because it's like... Probably because it's like an easier thing to do, or maybe it's like, I don't know.
It's very PG-13.
Yeah, rather than having people get like viscerally murdered, it's like they disappear. They're no longer with us,
Yeah,
it's like
weird.
It's like a PG-13 way of saying somebody got eviscerated. You wouldn't say somebody was disemboweled in a kids movie. You would say they're no longer with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there were so many very predictable beats. Like, you knew the bad guy was the bad guy. They do like a little shot of like the kid picking up a picture of his mom, and I'm like, his mom's super dark skinned and this kid's biracial, so therefore I'm assuming Ryan Reynolds is his dad. Yep. Nope, Ryan Reynolds is definitely his dad.
Yep. And that was super predictable. The weirdest, I thought that was so fucking weird. That was like the weirdest script choice I've seen in a blockbuster movie in a while. It was like all of the people got sucked into their Pokemon and became the Pokemon. But the thing is like, is that really that bad of a consequence? You know? And then,
no, and I also don't understand what he was getting out of that.
Yeah.
Like, why did he was like, he wanted it because he had like cancer?
Yeah, so he wanted to be Mewtwo. I think there's some like lines earlier on in the movie where he has these like philanthropic views of like the world will be a more harmonious place between Pokemon and humans if humans are just Pokemon, which is weak. It's like serviceable for the plot, but it's weak. You know, it's like
I could see him be a movie 2 villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a movie 1 villain.
Yeah, it's like duct tape over a like otherwise questionable motive. You know.
Yeah, I don't like, what does he get out of it? And like, they don't do a really good job of like determining like what Mewtwo's powers are. He like makes blood that makes Pokemon feral, and then can make people and Pokemon the same if the Pokemon is feral.
Yeah, he seemed to have just plot altering powers.
Like, is that something that Mewtwo did in the games, movies,
no, not
TV
at all.
show? Okay, so like they just made that up in the third act?
They pretty much, they just made it up for the movie. But the idea behind Mewtwo, though, is he's kind of like, especially in this movie, he's kind of like a MacGuffin. Like, it's like, it doesn't matter what he does. He's just a plot device, you know?
Yeah.
It didn't matter what Mewtwo did. He just comes in and he does whatever the fuck he wants. He's too magic for you to understand, stupid viewers. You know? Yeah. So it's,
you
weaker.
Idiots.
Yeah, you damn fools. You paid money to see this. So what more do you want?
Avery, I feel bad now.
I know. I saw it too. I paid money to go and see this. I had a nice night though. I like went by myself to the theater. So creepy. It was like late at night too, and I was
wearing a trench coat with nothing underneath.
Exactly. I went like, I got like a seat that was way off to the side, and I was like, nobody's gonna sit by me. I'm gonna drink some beers. I'm gonna watch a stupid Pokemon movie. Let's go. Let's do this. Got some popcorn.
Did you have any moron kids in the?
Actually, no. It was too late. It was like my showing my viewing didn't start until like 10:30.
See, I had stupid kids, and that made it worse.
I was expecting stupid kids, and pleasantly surprised that there were no stupid kids.
Like, kids telling their 29-year-old parents like what the Pokemon do, and the parents being like, "Shut up, you fucking idiots!
You fool!
Damn,
You're not even an OG Pokemon fan. Did you play Red version? Yeah, you're 3. No, you didn't.
But you can't do the Pokemon rap where you say all the names, the original 100 and whatever.
Yeah, right. Bust out the Poke rap right now, then, if you're a fan, huh? You can't. I know you can't, because you're 3.
Yeah, you dumb shit.
Pikachu. Yeah, idiot. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's Pikachu.
Can't even speak
English. He would follow you in yellow.
Can you even drive a car? Can you? You can't, can you? Jesus Christ. This world we live I don't know.
But 3-year-old, you would deliver lines better than the female lead. She was so bad.
She was really, really bad.
She was really bad. Like, I feel bad because she's like got very few credits, and this was probably her big break.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she'll get picked up for other stuff. She'll improve. What else has she been in? Yeah,
Big Little Lies. She was in Blockers.
Yeah, Cock Blockers. That movie that nobody saw.
John Cena tries to stop his kids from having sex.
Yikes.
The creepiest movie ever. 3 billboards out of whatever, Missouri.
Oh, she was in that. That's actually a pretty well-received movie from what I understand.
Yeah. Paranormal Activity 4.
Oh, I know who she is now. Okay.
Oh, she was in a movie that seems, oh my God, we have to watch this. Avery.
What is it?
You ever heard of the film The Karate Kid?
Oh, it's the martial arts kid. Yeah, I see this. The martial arts kid. This has got to be like an asylum, like exploitation film or something. We should watch this. We should watch this.
Terrible.
Oh my God, we gotta watch this.
It's produced by someone called Traditions Entertainment.
Yeah, that's weird. This is an exploitation thing. There she is.
When a troubled teen from Cleveland experiences bullying in Cocoa Beach, Florida, he soon learns martial arts to gain confidence in himself. Oh, this sounds great.
Oh my God, look at this kid. Fucking Cash is in this movie.
Holy shit, it's Cash,
this
dude.
is so bad. Dude, we're going to watch this. If you guys want to know, go on IMDb, Google the martial arts kid, and look at it on IMDb. It's basically everything we love in a movie. Terrible acting, Cash. This movie looks nickel as fuck.
Yeah, this movie's so nickel.
This movie's fucking nickel, dude. Oh my God. A shirtless, sweaty, young kid. This is terrible. This looks so bad. Discount
all our favorite things.
Discount Dwayne The Rock Johnson. His name is Don Wilson. Don the Boulder Wilson.
I thought you were talking about TJ Storm.
Oh my God. A young kid who looks like he could be one of the Smith kids with two scythes. Dude, oh my God, we're going to watch this.
This looks so bad.
Yeah, we're going to watch this. Yeah, martial arts kid. Just you guys wait. But she was in that.
10 out of 10, perfect movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, here it comes. Yeah, so, I mean, Detective Pikachu, man. Like, what can I say? I feel like I really would have loved if this movie was really great, and I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't a goddamn dumpster fire, but it wasn't good. It was at least cohesive. Like, the screenplay made sense. Things didn't happen that didn't make sense, but it was all very, very ham-fisted, some rushed effects, really, really predictable script and character arcs.
Just not Pokemon. It just did, like, this didn't have to be a Pokemon movie.
I was thinking the same thing. That
like,
this could have been
like a Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah, this could have been a Furby movie.
Plot.
You could take any IP and just reskin it, and it would have been. The plot had nothing to do specifically with Pokemon. And you know what? I'm pretty goddamn sure that this script initially wasn't a Pokemon script. Because if you'll notice, at no point except for the very beginning of the movie do people use the prime Pokemon MacGuffin device, a Pokeball. There's even a line that like explains it away. It says, you're in the city where there's no Pokeballs anymore. And then there's none more. So this probably wasn't a Pokemon script. And then, because I think that shit happens.
Oh, and the guy he was with, he's in Deadpool, isn't he?
Yeah, at the very beginning.
He's Depinder, right?
Yeah, and I think that was that scene was a reshoot that was placed right at the beginning of the movie to give you a little bit more character background. If there's one thing, the main character, even though he's kind of forgettable and boring, especially as an actor, like he was at least well written and he had an arc. You know, like there's something that's good about this. That's more than you can expect from some movies. So I don't know. There's shit in there that's not horrendous, but I would say pretty much unilaterally, its cons pull it back from being a good movie.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. So Ash, you know how we follow up these episodes, but why don't you tell...
No idea.
No idea.
Can you explain it to me?
It's only been 71 episodes.
I don't remember. It's the 5 words thing was your idea, not mine, definitely.
Well, we've been doing it for at least 68 episodes. When did we start doing that? It was probably like the 4th episode, maybe. It's just been a thing that we do. That's how we end our podcast.
Yep.
I want to go first.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me your 5 words, Avery.
All right, my 5 words. Are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon. Bam. If I could drop my mic, I would drop it right now. Because I just
If
quit.
I could cancel the podcast and get out of my contract, I would.
Get out of your contract. We laugh. So I'm going to give this movie, I'm on the line between a 3 and a 4. Honestly, I can't decide. I would say take your kids. If you have kids, take them because Pikachu's adorable. Ryan Reynolds is a goddamn national fucking treasure. He needs to be protected. Anything he's in, I pretty much support. I really like that guy a lot. I think he's awesome and funny.
Especially X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Honestly, still not his worst. Green Lantern is his worst. But
I apologize.
Yeah. And so, yeah, if you like Ryan Reynolds, go and see this because it's going to be more of that like quippiness that you like. I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling positive. I am going to give this a 4 out of 10. I say, honestly, you can skip it. Don't go and see it. You don't need to. It's like, it's not good enough for you to spend money on a movie ticket because I know movie tickets are expensive. And
that's why I see it at 9:30 in the morning, Avery.
Yeah. I didn't make that executive decision. Unfortunately, I went too late. It was like a $15 ticket. But yeah, I know. Maybe 14. I can't remember. But
maybe 20.
But yeah, fuck, like what, $30? There you go. No. Yeah, you don't have to go see it. Wait till it comes out. Like you can just watch it online. Just wait for that because it's good enough to like. I say give it a watch. It's one of those movies that I think if you know what you're looking at in movies and know what you like, you can kind of glean some stuff out of it that you can enjoy. But also at the same time, it's one of those movies that it's bad enough that if you watch it, you can maybe understand what makes good movies good. You know what I mean?
I feel like this is a movie that like frat guys in like those Chubbies shorts that are like covered in pineapples, like get really drunk and watch together.
Yeah. And then like kiss
and like cry.
And then they beat up.
Beat up.
Yeah, Anyway, let's move on.
This is like what they play while they're like hazing pledges.
I'm getting flashbacks. Yeah, that's what I think. You don't have to go see it. I mean, just wait until it comes out on VOD. You're gonna be totally fine watching this at home in your home theater. You're not gonna get anything else out of it. So yeah. Ash.
Yeah.
What's your final review on Detective Pikachu?
All right, so I have to give 5 words. 5 words. Okay, fuck it. Fuck it, Avery. Fuck it. Okay.
Oh, I thought those were your words.
No. Ryan Reynolds is my dad. Because apparently he can be anyone's fucking dad.
He's just anyone's. Yeah,
I
right.
wish he was my dad.
Man,
I'd be very wealthy.
Right? Yeah. How old is Ryan Reynolds? Because the kid in this movie, I think, was supposed to be like 20 or 21. But Ryan Reynolds,
he's got to be like 14, 15 years old.
Yeah. Like seriously, because Ryan Reynolds, I think he's like 40 some. Like I think he's in his 40s.
That makes sense.
But not really. I guess it kind of like you're pushing it when it comes to this kid being his son. And also the actor didn't look like he was 20 or 21. He looked like he was 26 or 27 pretending to be 21. So I don't know. Take what you will from that.
Yeah. I also, because he used to be married to Scarlett Johansson, so that's pretty cool. This movie is some garbage. Just some just top tier garbage. I don't think I've ever been more disturbed by teeth before. Even the movie Teeth did not disturb me about teeth as much as this movie.
Pokemon Detective Pokey guy. Yeah.
Because it wasn't like they were showing them the whole time. It wasn't just like big smiles all the time. It's just like, you're watching a scene and Mewtwo is trying to be pensive and gross. Not gross, creepy. Same thing. And then just suddenly you see a flash and you're like, wait a second. And then it happens again. You're like, those are human teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge swaths of this movie just are nothing. They just have huge scenes that serve no purpose. I get that they're not trying to be hand-holdy with Pokemon, but they should define the rules a little bit better because I think that would have done a lot. This is a movie that doesn't need to exist. I really wish that it had been good and made no money, as opposed to being what it is and making the money that it is. I give this movie a 1.5 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Splitting hairs a little bit, but can't argue there. I understand your plight. Yeah, man, this was a weird combination of weird and like, why does this exist? And like very brief moments of like shocking like clarity, like, oh, I see what they're going for, and then it's all just wiped away and it gets fucking odd.
It's like when they make those, like, have you ever seen like the Majora's Mask YouTube like fake movie short film?
I haven't, but I can imagine.
Yeah,
You know?
like it's like, oh, this is really great for a guy who made it on YouTube and it's 7 minutes long. Like, great job, guy. When it's in a theater and like people are in the comments like, this should be a real movie, and then this is that movie and it's not great.
Right? That it seems like flirting on the border of being a straight up fan film. Right? It's like right there. It's almost like something that like would be viral and be passed around in your Facebook feed. Like, these super fans made the best iteration of a Pokemon film ever, and you'd be like, wow, actually pretty good for like people who did this on zero budget and, you know, or just like releasing it to YouTube. But as a feature length film that's in the theaters, like, it just doesn't hold up. It's just not good enough. It's just not. This is something that I would have been really satisfied with if I found it on Netflix. You know, I would have been like, yeah, for something that was on Netflix, for a service that I'm already paying for, you know, that's virtually free, you know, because I watch enough stuff on Netflix already to make up that cost. If I had found it in that way, I probably would have been a lot more satisfied with the movie. But because it was something that I paid to go see, like this movie is just right on that boundary of not being good enough to be in the theaters. And I think it's clear that it suffers because of that. With the exception of Ryan Reynolds, I have no idea why that guy was in this movie.
You know what? I almost think that it would have been better if it had just been a bunch of actors I've never seen before.
Yeah, it really was kind of shocking to have Ryan Reynolds in there. It was distracting. It was distracting the entire movie. Just the entire film. It was so distracting. And like, now that I'm like going back and like reviewing it in my mind, it's like all I can like take away from it really is that Ryan Reynolds is in it. And it's like his voice is so instantaneously noticeable.
Yeah, I feel like this movie either needed more star power or less.
Yeah, or like virtually none. Less star power, release it to Netflix, release it as an hour-long like YouTube, you know, produced like thing.
Jaden Smith in it. Like, do something.
Right. Actually, Jaden Smith probably would have, that's a good casting choice, right?
You're welcome.
He's no better, he's no worse than the guy that they ended up picking. Right? Like,
he's also a very middle of the line actor.
Totally. Lower middle of the line. Let's be fair here. You know?
He's the A-list of the D-list. Let's fucking face it.
He's like top D-list. Yeah, he's just right up there in that top percentage of like just being a C-, right? Yeah, so I don't know, man. Detective Pokemon, whatever.
Pokemon.
I would like to see a sequel to this movie in which they rectify some of the problems that plague this one. I think all
the Pokemon have disappeared. How did this happen?
Right? Or a little more care into making them a little less like realistic, lifelike, which they ended up not being anyway. Like, it was overdone. Like, a little less time into that, and a little more putting it into like the
writing a script,
right? Exactly, right. Rather than digging one out of Stan's like script box, you know, that you held him at gunpoint to write. You know what I mean? like that I think would have been a bit better, is if the script picked up the slack where the Pokemon visuals fell behind. This movie would have been elevated like quite a bit.
Wait a second. Okay. So they had seven? No. Sorry. 5 writers on this movie.
That's a lot. That means that it's probably gone through. I think we talked about this in regards to Aquaman when Reed and Adrian were on the show, and how like there's a process where it's like somebody writes an original treatment and somebody adapts it into a screenplay and somebody alters that screenplay. The director steps in and makes some alterations, and then it goes back to an editor and so on. So likely there was like a prolonged screenwriting process, probably because the original of this was either totally not related to Pokemon or really fucking bad. One of the two. So
yeah, I mean, like the director fucking did, like, his movies are Shark Tale, Goosebumps, Gulliver's Travels, and Monsters vs. Aliens.
what's Shark Tale?
You've never seen Shark Tale?
What is Shark Tale?
So I want you to imagine a world where Finding Nemo was a popular film.
Oh,
remember that?
This is the one with Will Smith. Speaking of the Smith family,
yeah, and Robert De Niro.
Remember this?
Jack Black, Angelina Jolie,
Martin
Scorsese.
What?
Renee Zellweger.
This is an all-star cast. What is it? Are you telling me this movie's
Katie
bad?
Couric. Katie Couric as a character named Katie Current.
Oh, God, that's exhausting.
There is
That's
so many.
bad.
So many.
This
They
is the
have a
one where
prawn shop.
they sing the car wash song, right? Working at the
Yeah.
car wash, but they're actually like at a car wash.
Which makes no sense. You're in water.
Yeah. Also, cars don't work underwater, dude. Come on.
Also, sharks can't drive.
Yeah, right? Or speak English, for that matter. Well, there you go. Shark Tale. So
This
the same
movie should
director.
just made
10 out of 10.
Yeah, it should have been made by Pixar.
Yeah. Oh my God, right? Like a Pixar Pokemon movie would have been fucking awesome. That's what they should have
give it
done.
The kind of like spongy models that look kind
Right.
of like.
Like,
Yeah.
rather than going for hyper realistic, lean into the fact that Pokemon look inherently unrealistic. Like, and ham it up and have them do things that you've never seen them do in the games before, rather than have them work at a coffee shop. You know, like, which I guess you probably also haven't seen them do in the games. That being said, like, this should have been an entirely 3D animated movie. And it wasn't, and I think it suffers. Like, the hyper realism is its biggest flaw. It's its biggest drawback. It's gross. It's like, it's not pretty. It doesn't look good, with the exception of like a couple of the models that are barely in the movie. You know?
Yeah, and maybe that's why they look good. I can't tell.
Yeah, that could be it too. You barely got a view. Although the Charizard looked good, and you got some pretty good like wide shots of the Charizard. So it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. There were some standouts where it's like they actually nailed that design, but then you could tell that some of them just had like a skewed creative process going on. So I don't know. Fucking weird, man.
well, next week we'll hopefully be redeeming ourselves with John Wick 3.
I am really excited for John Wick 3.
So am I. We're getting a guest on.
Yeah, should we say it just in case? Maybe we shouldn't say.
Yeah,
it.
now he'll be locked in.
Yeah, right. We don't want to overpromise and then underdeliver. So the idea is that we will have a guest on for the next episode. We're not going to say who just yet, but it's someone who hasn't been on the show in a while, so we're kind of excited for it.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Long time. Some of you deep, dark, ancient for the story listeners.
For the Storians.
Yeah,
I've been trying
if
that
you want
one
to
out
dig
for-
all the
for
way
sex.
back to episode 5.
Is that really which one it was?
Yeah, it was
Holy
episode
shit.
5. I remember because I had to edit 3 tracks because we did it the wrong way.
We're very talented.
Yeah, we weren't then. We've gotten better, but you know, at least I hope. Actually, send us an email. Have we gotten better?
Honestly, I won't be able to sleep unless you tell me we're doing good. I'm not needing you are.
Yeah, but I think that about wraps it up for our Detective Pikachu review, Ash, unless we have anything else for the listeners.
Follow us on Instagram, For The Story Podcast. Find us on Facebook, For The Story. Email us, forthestorypodcast@gmail.com.
And what else is there? I don't know. We don't have any other social. I'm really trying with the Twitter, man. You guys got to follow me. It's For The Story Podcast. Just do it. I'm going to start tweeting. I swear to God. I probably am not. I mostly tweet pictures of my cats. And by cats, I mean my cat and my 2 dogs that are basically cats. But hey, That's what I got for you guys.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to us today, guys. We're trying. We got a whole bunch of blockbusters coming out. It's going to be a lot of work for us, but we're looking forward to this summer. We got some big movies. We got some small movies. We got some in between movies.
Ooh, in between movies.
But
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
yeah, right.
Let's get in.
Yeah.
Let's get out of
Yeah,
here.
let's go. We're done. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We love you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Mr. Mime fucked your mother.